My name is Ethan Caldwell. I live in a modest apartment in the heart of Willow Creek, Vermont, with my 5-year-old daughter, Lily. The town is known for its vibrant arts community and serene landscapes, but for me, it's a place of both solace and haunting memories. Every morning, as I sip my coffee, I gaze across the street at the Caldwell Art Gallery. Once a symbol of my family's legacy, it's now a constant reminder of the life I left behind. "Look, Daddy!" Lily exclaims, holding up her latest crayon masterpiece, a colorful depiction of our apartment building with us waving from the windows. I smile, ruffling her curly hair. "That's beautiful, sweetheart. You've got quite the talent." She beams, her eyes sparkling with pride. Moments like these are my anchor, grounding me in the present and reminding me of how far we've come. But the journey here was anything but easy. Growing up, I was the heir to the Caldwell legacy. My parents, Richard and Margaret Caldwell, were esteemed art collectors and patrons. They envisioned a future where I would take over the family gallery, continuing their prestigious lineage. However, my passion lay not in collecting art, but in creating it. I spent countless hours sketching, painting, and immersing myself in the world of colors and textures. My parents dismissed my aspirations as mere hobbies, insisting that I focus on business and management. During my senior year of college, I met Emily. She was a fellow art student, passionate, free-spirited, and incredibly talented. We connected instantly, our shared love for art forging a deep bond between us. Our relationship blossomed quickly, and within months, we were inseparable. We dreamed of opening our own studio, traveling the world, and living a life fueled by creativity. But dreams can be fragile. When Emily discovered she was pregnant, our world shifted. I was overwhelmed with a mix of emotions: fear, excitement, uncertainty. We were young, unprepared, and facing a reality that neither of us had anticipated. I turned to my parents for support, hoping they would understand and help us navigate this new chapter. Instead, they were furious. "You've jeopardized everything we built," my father spat, his face flushed with anger. "This is unacceptable," my mother added, her voice cold and detached. "You need to end this relationship and focus on your responsibilities." Their reaction shattered me. I couldn't abandon Emily or our unborn child. Choosing them meant severing ties with my family, forfeiting my inheritance, and stepping into an uncertain future. I made my choice. Emily and I moved into a small apartment on the outskirts of town. We both took on multiple jobs to make ends meet, waiting tables, teaching art classes, and selling our artwork at local markets. When Lily was born, our lives changed forever. Holding her for the first time, I felt an overwhelming surge of love and responsibility. She was perfect, a tiny bundle of hope and promise. However, the pressures of parenthood, financial strain, and our own unresolved issues began to take a toll on our relationship. Emily became distant, often leaving for days without explanation. I was left juggling work and caring for Lily, struggling to keep our lives afloat. One day, Emily left and never returned. No note, no explanation, just silence. Left to raise Lily on my own, I faced the most challenging period of my life. There were days when I questioned my ability to provide for her, nights filled with anxiety and self-doubt. But Lily's laughter, her innocent questions, and her unwavering trust in me kept me going. I found solace in painting during the quiet hours, using art as a therapeutic outlet for my emotions. Over time, I built a modest but fulfilling life for us. I started teaching art at the local community center, sharing my passion with others, and finding a sense of purpose. One afternoon, while preparing for an art class, I received a letter from my father. It was brief but heartfelt. "Ethan, I regret how things transpired between us. I've followed your journey from afar, and am proud of the man you've become. If you're willing, I'd like to reconnect and meet my granddaughter. Love, Dad." The letter stirred a whirlwind of emotions: anger, longing, hope. After years of estrangement, was reconciliation possible? I looked at Lily, playing with her crayons, her face lit up with joy. She deserved to know her family, to have connections beyond just me. Perhaps it was time to bridge the gap, to heal old wounds, and to embrace the possibility of a renewed family bond. The letter from my father sat on the kitchen counter for 3 days. I couldn't bring myself to throw it away, nor could I reply. It felt like a door had opened slightly, but I wasn't sure if I was ready to walk through it. Lily, as always, was unaware of the weight in the air. She danced from room to room with her paper butterflies and cardboard castles, singing made-up songs about paintbrushes and pancakes. One evening, as we cleaned up after dinner, she asked innocently, "Daddy, do I have a grandma and grandpa?" I paused. "Yes," I said. "They live in a big house on the other side of town. Can I meet them?" That question broke something open in me. She wasn't asking for apologies or explanations. She was just a little girl longing to know where she came from. The next morning, I called the number at the bottom of the letter. "Hello?" My father's voice, older, softer, unfamiliar. "It's me," I said. "Ethan." There was a long pause. "I didn't know if you'd call. We can talk. For Lily's sake. That's more than I could ask," he replied. We agreed to meet at a quiet cafe in Willow Creek. When I arrived, he was already seated, his posture more fragile than I remembered, a faint tremor in his hands as he held his coffee. He stood when he saw me, and for a second, I caught a glimpse of the man who used to carry me on his shoulders through art museums. "Thank you for coming. I didn't come for thanks," I said plainly. "I came because Lily deserves to know her roots." He nodded, swallowing hard. "I was wrong," he said after a moment. "We both were. Your mother and I thought we were protecting our legacy, but we forgot our son." It wasn't a full apology, but it was more than I expected. A week later, Lily and I stood on the stone steps of the Caldwell estate. She wore her favorite yellow dress and clutched a drawing she'd made of the three of us holding hands. When the door opened, my mother stood there. Her face was pale, her eyes ringed with sleepless nights. She didn't say a word. She simply knelt down to Lily's level. "You must be Lily," she said, her voice trembling. "I made this for you," Lily said, holding out her drawing. My mother's hand shook as she accepted it. "It's beautiful." We walked inside. The house was mostly unchanged, grand, immaculate, museum-like, but something felt different, softer. They didn't bombard Lily with gifts or try to make up for lost years with expensive gestures. They sat with her, asked about her favorite colors, her favorite animals, her dreams. And she answered in her cheerful, unfiltered way. As I watched them, a strange warmth settled in my chest. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was a beginning. The visits became more frequent. My father began stopping by the community center during my art classes, quietly observing from the back. Sometimes, he brought old art books or supplies. He never tried to interfere, just watched with a faint smile and misty eyes. My mother took a slower path. She invited us for Sunday lunches, offering home-cooked meals and stories from my childhood that I had long forgotten. One afternoon, Lily asked her, "Grandma, do you like to draw?" My mother looked surprised. "I used to, before I got too busy pretending it didn't matter. Will you draw with me?" And just like that, she did. That evening, I found them both at the dining room table, heads bent over a page, sketching flowers with colored pencils. It was the first time I saw my mother laugh in years. A few weeks later, the Willow Creek Art Gallery hosted an exhibit called New Voices, dedicated to young local artists and their mentors. I submitted a piece I had worked on for months, a portrait of Lily, painted in soft, expressive brushstrokes, surrounded by symbols of the journey we'd taken. The night of the opening, Lily wore a bow in her hair and skipped beside me as we entered the gallery. My parents joined us shortly after. I introduced them quietly to my colleagues, and though some recognized their names, no one asked questions. But someone else was there. Emily. She stood across the room, her expression unreadable. She wore a sleek dress, hair curled just so, arms folded across her chest as she looked directly at Lily. I hadn't seen her since she left, and she was not alone. A sharply dressed man hovered behind her, whispering into her ear. She walked toward me slowly. "Ethan," she said. I nodded stiffly. "Emily. She's beautiful." Her eyes flicked to Lily. "She is. I want to talk." We stood a few feet apart, in the middle of the gallery, surrounded by soft music and murmured compliments. But between Emily and me, there was only tension. "What do you want to talk about?" I asked, keeping my voice low. "I want to see her." Lily was on the far side of the room, holding my father's hand as they looked at children's artwork. She had no idea the woman speaking was her mother. "You disappeared," I said flatly. "No call. No letter. You left us." "I was overwhelmed," Emily replied. "I wasn't ready. But I've changed." I studied her face. She looked stable, polished even, but something behind her eyes flickered like a weak candle. "And now that Lily's doing well, now that she's visible, you're ready? It's not like that. I saw your name in the exhibition flyer. Then I saw hers. I realized I had missed everything." I exhaled slowly. "You didn't just miss it, Emily. You left it." She flinched. "I know. And I'm not asking to fix everything overnight. But I'm her mother. I have a right." I didn't answer her right away. That word, right, clung to my ribs like something spoiled. That night, after the gallery closed and Lily fell asleep on the couch beside a sketchpad, I called Camille. "She's back," I said. There was a pause. "And you're not sure if she means it. She says she wants to be involved." Camille sighed. "Ethan, people show up for different reasons. Some because they care. Some because they can't stand seeing someone else succeed where they didn't." I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "What do I do?" "Set your terms. She doesn't get to walk in and change the story. Lily's safe. You built that. Protect it." The following week, Emily requested to meet again, this time at a cafe near the school where Lily attended kindergarten. I agreed, but I brought a folder with me. Inside it were timelines, daycare records, vaccination papers, school photos, every proof of presence, of care. She sat across from me, hands folded neatly. "Thank you for coming again. I need to be clear," I said. "If you want to be part of Lily's life, it starts with honesty and consistency. This isn't about you being her mother. It's about you being someone she can trust." Emily nodded slowly. "I'm not asking to take her," she said. "I just want to know her. Maybe see her once in a while." I handed her the folder. "This is what knowing her means. It's not just birthdays and holiday cards. It's every school note, every trip to the yard, every night she woke up crying and asked where her mother was." She flipped through the pages slowly. Her expression tightened. "I missed too much," she murmured. "You missed everything," I said, not out of anger, but finality. "So this isn't a return. It's a beginning. Or nothing at all." That night, Lily climbed into bed beside me. "Daddy? Who was that lady at the gallery?" I paused. "She's someone who used to know me a long time ago." She was quiet for a bit. She looked at me like she missed me. I turned to face her. "Do you want to know who she is?" She shrugged. "Only if she wants to know me." Her words stunned me. So simple. So true. Lily was willing, but only on her terms. "You'll always have the choice, Lily," I whispered. "Always." In the weeks that followed, Emily started showing up to art shows, school events, and drop-off pickups, not in flashy clothes or dramatic entrances, but quietly. She brought colored pencils one day, a small plant another, never asked for time alone, never pushed. Lily warmed to her slowly. Their first shared laugh happened over spilled orange juice and a joke about dancing bears. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy, but it was real. I told Emily one afternoon, as we watched Lily paint in the park. This isn't about going back. It's about becoming who she needs you to be now. She nodded, eyes glassy. I want that. Even if I'm just a background color in her life, I want to blend in, not blot it out. A few months later, the museum reached out again. They wanted to feature Lily's journey, a collection of my pieces that had quietly evolved over the past 5 years. The centerpiece would be a portrait I had painted during one of my hardest months. A man cradling a child in one arm and a canvas in the other, surrounded by darkness except for the light spilling from the child's face. I didn't expect what came next. My father approached me in the hallway of the museum the night before the opening. He handed me an envelope. Inside, a deed. The Caldwell Gallery. Signed over to me. I don't need to reclaim the past, he said, but I'd like you to shape its future. I stared at the deed in my hands, unable to speak. The Caldwell Gallery, a place I had once been exiled from, was now mine. My father cleared his throat. It's not a payment, Ethan. It's a gesture. An acknowledgement. I nodded slowly, emotion swelling inside me. The next day, I walked through the echoing halls of the gallery. Dust floated in sunbeams, and the wood floors creaked with familiarity. The walls still bore the echoes of cold formality, but I saw possibility in every frame and shadow. I renamed it, the Lily Collective. Not because I wanted to make it mine, but because everything I'd become, father, teacher, man, had grown from her. The inaugural show featured student art from the community center. Children's work hung alongside amateur and professional pieces. It wasn't about perfection, it was about presence. Lily helped hang the first row of paintings. I like this one, she said, pointing at a watercolor of 2 figures holding hands under falling leaves. It's like us. I included one of Emily's newer pieces, a quiet composition of a little girl on a swing, half-shadowed, half-lit. She didn't ask for credit. She just asked if she could contribute. The night of the opening, people filled the gallery like breath returning to lungs. My parents arrived early, helping arrange refreshments. My mother offered cocoa to every child who came. My father knelt beside one boy, showing him how to frame his sketch. Like a real gallery piece. Emily stood near the back, arms crossed. Not withdrawn, but observing. Lily pulled her forward. Mom, this one's mine. It's me painting with you and Daddy. Emily knelt down. I love it. Thank you for letting me be part of it. 2 weeks after the opening, just as life felt balanced, a letter arrived. No return address. Inside was a short message. You don't know me, but I knew Emily once. I think Lily might be my daughter. Enclosed was a photo of Emily from years ago, and beside her, another man. His face sharp, his stance possessive. I froze. I called Emily immediately. She came over, pale and shaking before I even spoke. I got something, I began. You probably already know what it is. She nodded. I was afraid this might happen. Is it true? She sat down heavily. After I left, I was lost. I made mistakes. One of them was letting him believe something that wasn't real. But Lily, Ethan, you were there the whole time. You raised her. You taught her everything. Even if blood says something different, you're her father. We both sat in silence. A silence full of fear and memory and fierce love. I'll handle it, she said. You shouldn't have to. No, I said. We'll handle it together. The man, David, arrived in town 3 days later. Well-dressed, cold eyes, a lawyer's card in his pocket. He came to the gallery, bold and theatrical. I want to know if she's mine. You abandoned her before you even knew her, I said. She deserves the truth. She already has it, I said. And you're not part of it. Emily stood beside me, strong. We took a test before I left. You weren't the father. You just didn't believe me. David's face twisted. I could make this public. I could. But he didn't finish the sentence. My father stepped forward from behind the entrance door, arms crossed. If you say another word, I'll make sure every sponsor, paper, and law office in Vermont sees who you are, an opportunist, using a child to claim relevance. David stared him down, but Richard Caldwell didn't flinch. David left. We never heard from him again. Weeks passed. The gallery grew. The art classes expanded. We started weekend sessions for families, parents and children painting side by side. Lily began helping with younger kids. "Daddy, I taught them how to make skies look happy," she said one day, covered in blue and yellow paint. Emily started teaching watercolor once a week. My mother offered to help host a small art camp in the summer. And my father? He pulled out old canvases and started painting again, landscapes and portraits, shaky but earnest. One afternoon, he showed me a portrait of Lily. "I miss so much," he said, "but I hope I can be part of what's next." I looked at the painting. It was imperfect, but full of light. "You already are," I said. One cold December night, we sat on the gallery floor after everyone left. Lily lay asleep beneath a wool blanket, her drawing pad on her chest. Emily sat across from me. "I still don't know if I deserve this," she whispered. "Maybe none of us do," I said. "But we're here. That has to mean something." She reached across, took my hand. Not out of romance, but connection. Family. Outside, snow began to fall. Quiet, sure, forgiving. Inside, Lily stirred in her sleep and mumbled, "I love our art house." And I realized she was right. It wasn't just a gallery. It was a home. Built not from money, but from every brushstroke of healing, every layer of trust, every act of showing up. Spring arrived in Willow Creek like a breath held too long. Suddenly and all at once. Children played near the fountain again, sketchbooks tucked under their arms. New artists submitted work to the Lily Collective Weekly. Something was blooming in town, not just in nature, but in spirit. For the first time in years, I felt still, not stagnant. Still, as in grounded, present. One sunny morning, I received a letter addressed to Mr. Ethan Caldwell and daughter. Inside was a child's drawing from a boy who attended one of my classes. He had painted Lily standing on a hill, holding a paintbrush like a sword. Beneath it, he'd written, "She taught me how to make colors feel brave." I showed it to Lily over breakfast. She giggled. "That's what you always say. Colors are braver than words sometimes." She wasn't wrong. We hung the drawing in the gallery's entrance with a small gold tag, "Inspiration from Inspiration." My mother and father never asked for titles back. They never called themselves forgiven or reinstated. They just came. Every weekend, every event, every tired Tuesday when Lily had a spelling test. My mother now baked snacks for gallery kids. My father, once a man of investment briefings and silence, now sat cross-legged on the floor, showing children how to shadow in watercolor. They had missed years, but they were stitching new ones with thread made of intention, not regret. One afternoon, Lily whispered to my mom, "You're the only grandma who lets me spill paint and doesn't get mad." My mother wiped her hands on a towel, laughing. "Well, that's what smocks are for." Emily stayed the course. She didn't run again. She didn't chase forgiveness like a prize. She earned trust the way it always should have been earned, day by day, with honesty and humility. Lily began calling her Mama M. Unprompted, one morning, Emily had to step outside so Lily wouldn't see her crying. They now had rituals. Saturday morning sketchbooks. Late night stories about colors that glow in the dark. They didn't rewrite the past. They repainted it. Later that year, Canvas and Clay magazine ran a feature titled, "The Man Who Rebuilt His Family with Paint." They photographed our classroom, our gallery, and, most poignantly, Lily's hands covered in paint, clasped around mine. The article ended with a quote from me. "I used to think being a father meant protecting my child from the world. Now I know it means showing her how to face it with grace and never be afraid to create." The response was overwhelming. Letters poured in from single parents, former artists, estranged children. Some asked for advice. Others just wanted to say thank you. We framed one letter near the entrance. It ended with, "I thought I had to be perfect to deserve love. Your story reminded me that love just means to be chosen again and again." The following spring, the museum asked to host a solo exhibit, not mine, Lily's. She created a series titled, "Small Things That Feel Big." Paintings of button jars, backpacks, a pair of shoes left at the door. The final piece was titled Family Dinner. A table, uneven legs, paper plates, 5 figures with connected smiles. On opening day, she wore a handmade pin that said artist. A reporter asked her, "What's this show about to you?" She answered, "It's about what happens when people stop leaving and start coming back." The room was silent. Then the applause came, not loud but full, like a heartbeat returning after a long winter. If you walk into the Lily Collective today, you'll see paint-splattered aprons hanging by the door, sunflowers in jelly jars, and a chalkboard that reads, "This place is for stories that almost didn't make it." I see Lily leading younger students now, helping them trace silhouettes. Emily smiles from behind the counter, organizing prints. My parents stand near the sculpture nook, debating the best clay consistency for kid hands. And I stand back, sometimes in awe, sometimes in disbelief. This wasn't the life I was handed. It's the one I built, from the ruins of rejection, with patience, art, and love chosen over and over. Forgiveness doesn't always come with flowers. Sometimes it walks in quiet. Sometimes it paints. And when it stays long enough, it creates something even more beautiful than what was lost.